Guys, all the cars that you see in these videos are for sale on my website, www.woodsandbarclay.com. Enjoy the video. Welcome back, everyone, to the next video on the 1984 300 TD. Today, I'm going to change the rear brake calipers and hoses, and I'm also going to change the front upper control arms. So let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to start by removing the wheels, and I will show you why I want to change the upper control arms. All of the lower front suspension on this car has been done, but I did notice the upper control arms need to be changed. So let me get this wheel off. Okay, so we can see clearly the rotors have been changed. There's no lip on this rotor. These are fresh rotors. And we also have fresh brake pads on there. Those have like 90% life left. And of course that is a new caliper along with new hoses. But when I went up here to the, and guys, that's just dirt up there, upper control arm, I noticed, see the bushing right there? Is starting to separate a little bit. Well, that's just an original upper control arm. So we want to go ahead and get this out of here and install a replacement. And here is our replacement Limforder upper control arm. These are OEM equipment manufacturers. These are who produce the control arms for Mercedes. So we'll go ahead and get this new control arm in there. And guys, please keep in mind when Scott details the vehicle, he's going to pressure wash all under here to get all this dirt and grime out from under here. So don't worry about that now. We're definitely going to clean that up. But to remove this control arm, what we can do, so I've got the car lowered, and you can see I have a jack stand under the lower control arm, and we're just going to unbolt the upper steering knuckle, and we're going to unbolt it right there and pop that loose. Now, the original, the Bilstein shock, that is strong enough to hold the lower control arm in place and keep that spring from popping out. But we always put a jack stand under the control arm right there just to be extra safe, because we don't, if that spring pops out, then that's bad news. So we have the shock and the jack stand protecting us. So we're going to go ahead and unbolt this and break that loose, and then disconnect it from our sway bar right here, and then go inside the car, pull the bolt out, and we can get that control arm out. Again, sorry for all the dirt under here. Keep in mind we have not detailed the vehicle yet. All this will be pressure washed and cleaned. But to get this upper control arm out, we just need to unscrew the 17 millimeter nut. And there we go. And then we're going to use a ball joint separator to separate that upper control arm. All right, this is our ball joint separator. Go ahead and get this guy in here. All right, there we go. That should press that right out of there. All right, there we go. So now our upper control arm is loose from the steering knuckle. Okay, I'm over here on the passenger side, and you can see I've put a jack stand a little higher than over on the driver's side. See, our driver's side is not quite touching the lower control arm. And I've lowered the car onto this jack stand. And what that has achieved, it has caused this sway bar to go up, to press it up in the air. And what that does is causes the sway bar to press up in the air here. And you see when it did that, it went ahead and pulled that stud out, and our steering knuckle came loose. Now I can go in the car, undo the bolt in here, and remove this. And the bolt in here is right there. We undo this bolt, pull out that stud, or that undo this nut and pull out that bolt, and then we can remove the upper control arm. Okay, you can see in the engine compartment, there's the back side of that bolt. It slips out right through here. So we got to get the nut off right there. Okay, you can see I have a 19 millimeter wrench back here. And we're going to hold our wrench. There we go. And sometimes this is easy and we can just pull this back through here. Yep, good. There we go. I'm just going to pull this bolt out of here. Okay, now we're going to pull off our control arm bushing. And these bushings are in excellent condition. Sometimes I like to reuse these because they fit much better than trying to put in a new bushing. This one's already like curved exactly to the cup right there that it goes in. And these are really good condition. I don't think there's any reason to change these. Oh, see if I can get it back out of there. There we go. Now this control arm is loose. So let's get this worked around the end of the sway bar and get this thing out of here. There we go. Mission accomplished. All right, guys, here's why we're changing this control arm. So we can actually see that the ball joint is still good there, but right there, that bushing has started to separate. You can see, here's our new control arm. See how the bushings are nice and tight in there? So let's slip on this new control arm and we'll toss this guy. And these are, unfortunately, these are not replaceable. I don't think they sell. There we go. I don't think they sell just the bushing for these. I don't know. I'll have to check and see, but it's easier and better because you want to replace that ball joint too while you're at it. And with this one, we just have a brand new ball joint. Blocking our bushing. So we'll just slide this guy back on here and push it back in there. Perfect. Now let me go slide that bolt back through inside the engine compartment. Okay, I didn't show me actually doing this, but we did reinstall the bolt and torque back down our nut onto the upper control arm bolt. Okay, here's our original bolts that went on the end of the sway bar, and they're a little gunky and crusty looking. They would still actually work fine. There's not a structural problem with them, but I just don't like how it looks. So I went in my parts stash, and here's some that are much nicer. And I got some new bolts here. So let's go ahead and put our sway bar bushing. Here's for the passenger side. I'll set that over there and we'll put that on the driver's side. Sorry for the sun glare, guys. It's very bright outside today. And it's giving me trouble with my camera. But before you put this bolt back in here, you want to do a little Loctite on your bolt. Then you want to put the end pieces on here. And we'll start threading that in by hand. And then we'll go ahead and torque that down, and that'll hold our sway bar nicely in place. There we go. Brand new upper control arm. And there we go. See how nice the bushings are up there now? So that's installed. Let's go ahead and get our steering knuckle back on. And guys, I really can't wait till Scott pressure washes under here. Sorry for all the dirt. And this dirt up here and smudge is driving me crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean that up with some acetone. And then I'm gonna have Scott really degrease and pressure wash under here nice. I just wanna get that mark off of the shock cover because it just drives me crazy. Suspension is my favorite part of the car, and I really like all of it to be super clean. Okay guys, I just checked, and the upper control arms actually come with new mounting nuts. There we go. All right, guys, you saw that's not that difficult. The first time you do it is pretty tough, but after you've done it a few times, that's just a really easy job. So let's go over and work on the passenger side. Now, passenger side is a little different. You got to remove your air cleaner housing so you can get access. There's our upper control arm bolt down there. So you just have to remove your air cleaner housing, and you guys have seen how to do that in several videos. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this off and change that one, and then we're going to go back to the rear brake calipers. And just to show you guys, when we pressure wash, underneath there, all that dirt, see, there's the original paint. So when we clean this up and pressure wash it, it's going to be extremely nice. We just want to pressure wash all that dirt from under here. All right, there we go. You can see the passenger side upper control arm is installed. And over here, we have the driver's side. See the bushings up there? So that completes all of the suspension on this car, because all of the suspension under here is new. So now this car has a full, complete front end with those upper control arms. So let's move to the back, and let's go ahead and install our rear calipers. See, I can see the front ones. Those have already been changed. That's not the original one. But the rear one still has the original calipers on there. So we're going to put on our brand new ATE calipers. And here are the rear hoses. We're going to change those also. And guys, I'm just going ahead and I'm mounting back the original bunts. Now keep in mind, these are original factory bunts. These have never been refinished. That's an original bunt, and it's in great condition. And you see it has a couple of flaws on it. Like there's where a weight was installed back in the day. But I'm going to give the buyer the option. I have some original factory bunts that I've powder coated right here. So I'm going to give the buyer the option, if they want to put on some powder coated bunts, we can do that. Or if you want a set of original factory chrome ones. I'm sorry, that was not factory. That was called the California package, and that was offered by dealers. So you can do, we'll do the original unpainted bunts, a set of original bunts that have been powder coated, or a set of the chrome bunts. It's up to you guys. Anyway, let's move to the back. Okay, excellent. I can tell that the rear rotors have also been changed. Surface rust is normal, guys, but there's absolutely no lip on these rotors. These are fresh. So let's go ahead and get these original calipers off of here and throw some new ones on along with our new hoses. Okay, we can actually see there's no corrosion. That shows the original caliper here, but back here they're just a little crusty, and that's definitely original, so I want to replace those. And this hose also, that's an original hose, so we need to get that off of here. All right, guys, sorry. I forgot to hit record when I was installing the new brake line, but anyway, all I did was disconnect this brake line, the old one, and install the new one. And what we're going to do now is, and sorry guys, again, we have not detailed this vehicle. All of that dirt here will be pressure washed and cleaned off. You can see the original paint is underneath it. Anyway, so all I want to do now is just attach my rear caliper to the brake line, and then we're going to remove this one and put this one on. I like to attach them first off the car, because then when you go to install it, it doesn't like twist the brake line. It makes it install relatively untwisted. There we go. We'll just spin this guy on here like that, and we'll just hang it here for a minute. Now I'm going to get some a 19 millimeter and undo this right here. And we have new hardware that comes with the new brake caliper, so we'll go ahead and install that new hardware. All right, now let's get this old caliper off of here. Okay, we've got our new hardware from ATE, and they go ahead and apply the blue Loctite right there from the factory. So we'll put our caliper up there. See why I attached the hose first? When you do that, it keeps it relatively straight. It doesn't twist it. And we will need to run these down with a torque wrench. We'll just go ahead and get them started there. And we have some new Mercedes brake pads we want to install. Let's put that in there. And ATE also supplies us with new mounting hardware. So we'll go ahead, stick our hardware right there, and we'll slip that top pin in. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can see that. We just slip our bottom pin in. There we go. Now these pins have little like lead, they have like little lead washers on the end. So once you tap those in, that lead will compress and it holds it in there. I'll show you. There we go. There we go, guys. So our brake is done. We have our new brake hose, new caliper. The rotor was excellent back here. It's not worn at all. I can see they've clearly been replaced. And our new pads and hardware. So let me get the torque wrench, lock this down, and then we'll go ahead and do the other side, and I will show you when I'm done, and we'll bleed the brake system. All right, guys, mission accomplished. We have our new caliper, pads and hose on the passenger and the driver's side. So let's go ahead and bleed these brakes. Okay, so we're kind of getting into the service now, which is going to be the general service, which will be another video. But since we just changed those rear calipers, we're going to go ahead and flush the brake system now. Now you can see when I changed those rear calipers, we got the fluid all the way down and it's still right there. So it didn't completely empty the reservoir, meaning our master cylinder still has fluid in it. So that's good. And you can see here's the front reservoir. The front reservoir is for the rear and the back reservoir is for the front. And what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and fill up our reservoir, and then we're going to hook up the Motive Power Bleeder. This thing lets you pressurize the brake system. You fill it up to about 10 psi, you pump that up and attach the cap, and you can pressurize it to about 10 psi. You don't want to go much more than that. And then you can go bleed the system and it just flushes the fluid right through. So let's go ahead and start that process. All right, so the first thing we want to do is make sure our reservoir is full of fresh fluid. So, sorry, I don't know if you guys can see because of my arm. And then we're going to flush all this fluid through the system and push out any old fluid. And we're also going to do the front calipers. So then we just attach our cap here, and that'll seal. We're going to pump this up to about 10 psi. You don't want to go any more because you can damage the seals in your master cylinder. All right, there we go. That is 10 psi. So we'll just leave that there. Now let's go to the far passenger rear caliper. That's where we want to start. Okay guys, back here I just have a little catch can with a tube in it attached to my bleeder. And we're going to go ahead and just open this up. There we go. See our bubble and fluid coming out of there? The system's pressurized. And it's going to squirt all the bubbles, get all the air out of the system. See all the air coming out? It's filling up our caliper and bleeding out any air bubbles. All right, I'm going to close it off. And we're just going to go check our, go see the level of our master cylinder. Okay, and there we go. See how much fluid we just pumped down through there? Almost the whole front. So I stopped it just in time. You can see a little bit is still in there. So let's go ahead and refill it now. And we're going to pump another reservoir through, and then we'll move to the other side. Okay, I got the reservoir filled all the way back up with clean fluid, and we're back to 10 psi. Okay, here we are on the other side of the car, on the driver's side. And there we go. See, it just pumped that big bubble out of there. And this one is no more bubbles. So we'll tighten that up. All right, now let's go check our reservoir. And we want to pump the pedal a couple of times to get our pads onto the caliper, onto the rotor, and then we'll come back and check again. Okay, there you can see we pumped out about half of this front reservoir. So I'm going to go fill it up again continue the process. This will probably be the last time. And then I'm going to move to the front calipers. I'll go ahead and get this reservoir and bleed that through, and then we'll be done with the brake bleeding. All right, there we go, guys. I have the light up to the reservoir so you can see we have all fresh brake fluid in there, and we are done bleeding the brakes, and I have it filled right up to just slightly below the max line right there. Mission accomplished. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. The car's coming along nicely. I think the next video you guys are really going to enjoy because I'm going to install all the fresh zinc dichromate parts in the engine compartment. And this car is going to look absolutely beautiful. I actually already took a couple of those pieces and installed them right here where the air cleaner goes. And so all of this is going to come off, and that will be sent out to be re-zinc plated. And then all this new stuff that has already come back from the plater is going to go on the car, and it's going to look factory original just like it came out of the showroom. So hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.